How's everyone doing today? If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Also give the video a like. I totally appreciate that. I got some news for you guys, and it's a little concerning to say the least. We've seen a number of unusual, coincidental crises that have come up, I would say, in the last couple of years. And it actually goes back way before then, but what we're seeing here, we received a warning here that we have to heed. And I decided to make this video because it's very rare that we actually get a heads up, a forecast for what's coming from officials. Normally, whenever there's a crisis and ultimately panic ensues. And the reason why is because there's a lack of communication. There's no warning. There's no preparation. Like, you can't prep when you don't know what to prep for. And this warning here, this runs really deep, and it's going to affect a lot of people. In fact, I cannot imagine one group of people that would not be affected by this. And I'm going to break this down for you guys in this video. Now, what we've seen recently, even if you were prepping before, you were probably not prepping for a pandemic. That one came out the blue. That's what you call one of those, I think they call it a black swan event. And the response to the pandemic was something that I don't think anybody would have predicted. I certainly wouldn't have predicted it. And anybody who's been, a long-term prepper probably didn't necessarily see this magnitude of governmental response coming to actually shut down the entire economy, to shut it down. I mean, like, to a point, and some states were worse than others, but to shut it down where literally you're almost locked up in your house. They shut down the parks. You guys believe that? They shut down the parks. Businesses had to close, and ultimately many of them, went under. That was quite a response, and I'm not saying it was entirely unwarranted, but a lot of people are saying it was planned. That's why a lot of people call it the pandemic. I'm not going to get into that. It is what it is. Whatever it was, it is what it is, right? Or it was what it was. Technically, we're still dealing with it right now, so I guess it is what it is, right? So anyway, we're moving more and more into a digital age, and prepping goes well beyond finding food in the grocery stores and worrying about shelves being empty. It has evolved to a point where, with inflation as it is right now, we're not seeing empty shelves in the grocery store at the moment. President Biden warned us of food shortages, a couple of months ago, but I haven't seen that on a large scale. Now, I've seen a lot of your pictures and video clips of certain cities, certain states where, there's not as much in the grocery stores as there used to be. But today, widespread, I wouldn't say I'm seeing a lot of empty shelves across the spectrum, across the board. Now, I want to share something with you guys. We've seen a number of different food shortage related circumstances pop up. A lot of them, left and right, over the last 12 months. There's been so many. You've had fires burning down food plants and distribution centers. You've had airplanes fall out the sky crashing into food plants and distribution centers. You got Walmart's closing. You've got lots of different circumstances. You've got the H5N1, whatever, the bird flu. You got the bird flu killing off millions of chickens and hens, leading to a spike in the cost of chicken, the cost of eggs, availability of eggs, the availability of chicken. And of course, anything that's dependent on those products to make it, that's going to go up too. So it's not just, raw chicken going up in price. It's not just eggs going up in price, anything that used an egg in the production, like a lot of processed foods use an assortment of different products to make it, right? So anything in the freezer aisle, for the most part, that comes in a box is more than likely a processed item that probably at some point or another needed a chicken in some form or another to make it. So anything that needs chicken eggs or chicken itself to produce the product is going to be affected. So, what happens when there's another shortage that's sparked for some other random reason? You got fires, you got drought. I didn't even mention drought. California, Arizona, Nevada, they're experiencing a massive drought right now. And you guys can look this up. This has caused residents to be essentially threatened by local governments to stop watering their lawns to preserve water, just so that people can bathe and have drinking water and be able to water the crops. Farmers need to be able to water crops still in spite of this drought. We got a warning from the FBI recently that is basically a big wake-up call. Right now, you wouldn't think that a cyber attack would impact farmers. You wouldn't think that would impact our ability to grow food and have food and could potentially cause a food shortage. But we got this warning here from the FBI, and it says here, FBI warning to farmers on ransomware attacks could impact consumers at grocery stores. It goes on to say, let's see, the FBI says you need to be on alert for ransomware attacks. KDKA Money editor John Delano explains those attacks on farmers could impact the rest of us at the grocery store. Whether it is a dairy or poultry farm, a cattle farm, a farm that grows grain, farming is a key part of Pennsylvania's economy. Now, it's not just Pennsylvania. This is worldwide. And, obviously with the war going on with Russia and Ukraine, that further exacerbated food supplies. Staple secondary products that we do tend to get from the Ukraine and the rest of the world will be, shall we say, not necessarily in the same supply. The war going on is preventing the planting of seeds and getting farming underway at a rather integral time. And I'm no farmer, but the way I understand it is, if seeds aren't planted, if certain crops aren't planted at a certain time, you got a certain window of time where it needs to be done. And if you don't get what you need into the ground at that time, that season is pretty much a wash. So what happens is if there's some form of disruption that prevents that process from happening on time, we could see a massive domino effect from that, where, okay, seeds didn't get put in the ground on time, there's no harvest, and of course, if there's no harvest, there's no export of crops. There's a shortage as a result of the normal seasonal process essentially being broken. Says here, farming is our #1 industry right now in the state of Pennsylvania. This comes from Senator Elder Vogel, a Beaver County Republican and a local farmer himself. It accounts for about $84 billion, according to Bill Zeters, with the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. Now, we saw something like this. It wasn't food related, but it affected our gas. You guys remember that? Happened, about a year ago? There was a cyber attack placed on the Southeast pipeline, and it immediately caused, number one, it prevented either oil or gas from being able to be extracted and pumped. And it caused an immediate spike and minor shortage on gas in some regions of the Southeast United States. So we've already gotten a taste of this. Now the FBI is warning us to expect something like this in the in the spring. This article says here, farmers and AG cooperative employees need to go on high alert this spring. That's according to the FBI, which is predicting cyber criminals might attack the industry during planting and harvest seasons. Goes on to say why. Cyber criminals believe that their prey could be more vulnerable and willing to pay for the extortion. So these cyber criminals, they're clearly very, very smart. And thanks to the luxury, or thanks to the advancement of technology, farmers are able to produce crops far faster, far more efficient, thanks to the leverage of machines and computer technology. Well, with those benefits come some cons. There's always some pros and cons. And one of the cons is that these awful criminals out here recognize the pattern that farmers use to create and produce crops. And in their understanding of how, planting and farming works, they recognize that this is a vulnerable period of time during the spring. So of course, if you're going to attempt to attack farmers and place a ransom on whatever virus they happen to plant, or whatever kind of cyber attack that they happen to use, basically they're like, hey, the FBI is saying, hey, they recognize that cyber attacks are more than likely going to happen during a period where the victim, or the farmers, are way more vulnerable. Why? Because let's just say hackers or cyber criminals place some form of cyber attack on the computer systems, or whatever. Basically, the cyber attacks, if they were to attack the farmers at a critical point in time where they can't plant seeds, this we've already read that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why not hit them at a time where time is critical, time is of the essence? That's when they could potentially demand a higher ransom and actually get it. So leading into the spring, we're already in the spring, leading into the remainder of the spring and the remainder of the summer, we got to be on high alert, you guys. We got to prepare for potential threats and disasters like this. And so I just wanted to share this message with you guys. Share with your family, share with your friends. If you made it this far in this video, do me a favor, hit the like button. We may see food shortages, but we also may see food unavailable in ways that we wouldn't necessarily have imagined. We've also got inflation. We could potentially see personal food shortages where inflation continues to go so high that the food's available in the grocery store shelves, but some people may not be able to afford as much. And so there's a shortage from that regard. So anyway, I wanted to share this important message with you guys. I thought it was important. So I hope that you guys got some value out of this information. Let me know what you guys are doing to prepare. We're living in some crazy times, you guys, but I just definitely want to share this message, and I will catch up with you guys on the next one. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Also hit that notification bell and give this video a like. I totally appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.